Mohawk TV's 2012 election coverage, and currently we are sitting in studio now with Chief Lloyd Phillips, who is currently with the Mohawk Council of Kahnawake. And for those of you who don't know Lloyd, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, obviously my name is Lloyd Phillips. I've been on council for what will be now 13 years. I did 5 terms back when it was 2-year terms from 96 to 2006. In 2006, I decided to scope out my opportunities in the political field as well as in my original field of paramedics, and then I decided the political bug got a hold of me again, so I decided to seek re-election back in 2009, and thankfully I was re-elected. But my parents are Stuart Phillips, Alice Montour Phillips. Most people know who they are.
Right.
I've been born and raised in Kahnawake, and very concerned about our future as a community.
Mm-hmm. Why are you running for office again?
Well, I see the many challenges that face our community. We hear a lot over a period of time regarding the funding issues, jurisdictional issues, health and safety concerns of our community. There's many issues that are facing us, and I have a broad range of interest in there. And I think one from my personal interest in politics and bettering our community, as well as some of the experience that I bring to the table from being on council, as well as life experience and working in other areas as well. Mm-hmm. I feel I could continue to assist the community in that way.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your interests in terms of looking over your political career, the span of it? What are some of your interests now, and have they changed over the years?
For the most part, they have stayed fairly consistent. I've always been interested in the public security, community protection areas, which we can touch on in a minute, and as well as dealing directly with government, where various discussions and/or negotiations with Canada and/or Quebec, and I also do interested in working with other First Nations, and I've been doing a lot of that work with Assembly First Nations from across Canada, or the Assembly First Nations of Quebec and Labrador, strictly with Quebec. I think there's a lot of value in networking with individuals, other communities, because there's a lot of the policies that impact on Kahnawake in a negative way, or a lot of laws that impact on us in a negative way also impact other First Nation communities, and sometimes working together is to everybody's benefit.
Right.
Mind you, we're very different in many cases, and we have to point that out at times. But certainly, there's strength in numbers, and at times that's the best way to go.
Mm-hmm. So, would you say you are a supporter of AFN?
I would generally say yes. I'm a supporter of the AFN. I mean, AFN has gone through various changes over the years, and there's some people want to look at it more of a governmental type structure, right, which I don't personally support, but it's a great advocacy group. It's a one where there's ability to pull people together, get common interests from across the country to, again, take on the government on various laws or policies which they're trying to put forward. Because they have the budget, for example, the federal budget of Canada. And it comes down to First Nations. It impacts Kahnawake, but it also impacts people in BC and Alberta and so on. And if there's common positions taken, at least you're fighting the same fight, and you're not always alone in that area. Mm-hmm. So there is benefit to it.
Right.
And the same thing on a smaller scale, we have the Quebec chiefs. Again, there's provincial policies and stuff that impact us. That sometimes there's strength in numbers. So certainly I do support those things. Obviously, Kahnawake, we always maintain our position that we'll take care of ourselves. We'll do our own thing if we have to. But from time to time, it is beneficial to know what's happening. There's information out there. People do research projects. People do various political strategies that are working in their area. Mm-hmm. We could adopt or adapt certain things that are happening, and
right,
then it saves time and energy and money for our community. So once again, I think it's a good thing. But also, like I mentioned, as I first started, a lot of the public security type issues, because my first career was as a firefighter, right, paramedic, and which, matter of fact, I still do to this day. It's funny because people call an ambulance on occasion, and I show up there because I'm still active. I'm still a certified paramedic, working with the fire brigade on occasion. So that was my first interest about ensuring the integrity and safety of our community, and health aspects, which I've been involved in the past. and then it sort of evolved into public security more directly with policing, and
Right.
that sparked my interest, and because it's very complex, it's not a clear-cut situation at all, and it's a very politically sensitive area as we know.
Right, especially if in recent times where you had some training going on here with special forces and did you take any flack, if you will, on that, like in terms of allowing a tactical team, or not you yourself, but encouraging a tactical team to come into Kahnawake, or strengthening the force in that way?
Yeah, maybe that should be clarified a little bit on there, because what has happened, and if you go back 3 years ago, and there was a lot of issues about drugs and drug related stuff happening in our community. And a matter of fact, I think I was sitting in the studio and we talked about with this on your station, saying that's one of the areas I like to try to tackle much more and get involved in the public security aspects on there. So we've been trying to work with Quebec government, to try to get the dollars in order for us to create our own, for lack of a better term, drug task force within the Kahnawake Peacekeepers. Not something taken from the outside and brought here. It's something to
Not
create.
RCMP.
Not RCMP. Not exactly. And that's been
that
awesome.
would never fly.
Exactly. And I know that, you know that, and everybody
Right.
knows that would never work. But have the resources available to have the proper training for investigative training, proper training to ensure that the trail of evidence is done properly, and if you're doing investigation, that if somebody's charged or arrested, that the charges will stick, as well as have extra manpower to do this on a day-to-day basis. The peacekeepers have many calls, and just the day-to-day policing takes much of their time. So if you had something specialized to work on, say drugs, I think that's something our community would stand behind and say, we have to minimize or rid the community of drug and drug dealers. So that's what it's all about. And also talking about getting these dollars is difficult, because on one hand we're telling government, get out of our business, we don't want nothing to do with you. But on the other hand, we're saying, but we want money from you to pay for a drug task force. So there's fine balances you're trying to work out here, and it's very difficult at times, and things move slowly. We got the attention of the Minister of Public Security on that issue. He is committed to ensuring that certain resources are available to us, but it's a very sensitive discussions. Again, we're talking about jurisdictional issues here. We want to ensure that the Kahnawake Peacekeepers remain the police force for Kahnawake, and we're not going to jeopardize that in any way. And again, to clarify, I know how rumors go in our community, and this has nothing to do with cigarettes. We're not talking about creating a task force to go after cigarettes. No, I know, and and the community knows that if the peacekeepers or anybody went after cigarettes directly, there'd be a major problem for our community. No, yes. I support the industry,
which you kind of saw happen a couple.
Yes,
weeks
exactly.
back
I think that was a little bit miscommunication and stuff, but the peacekeepers are put in a very difficult situation at times. But overall, I mean, the council, myself and included, support the industry. We see the benefits to our industry, but I'm sure there are some problems. We need to get some laws in place, and that's in the process. But I got friends and family involved in the industry, and I certainly want to see them continue to prosper. And so let's not confuse that issue with going after drugs in our community. I think it's something everybody can stand behind and say, this is what we need. Let's get more resources to combat our drug issues in our community. I'd love to see another Rocky the drug dog we had many years ago, and unfortunately he passed away since then. I'd like to see something like that again and happen in our community, and it's good for public relations, it's good for law enforcement, and it's good for many things.
Right. So, I mean, you're definitely passionate about public security. It's always been part of your forte. But what do you think makes you a good leader, and how does it set you apart from your current fellow chiefs on council and those who are currently running?
Well, I mean, you could always say, experience and so on, but beyond that, I mean, because everybody has to start somewhere. Everybody has to start, when people get elected, they're new, they have to learn how things work and so on. But I think I bring with my personality, the way I have a balanced approach to looking at things, and I'm good at weighing the pros and the cons to something, looking at the good and the bad, and trying to find a happy medium, and truly working with consensus with your fellow chiefs, as well as within the community, trying to find the best way to move issues forward. And I think I'm a good team player and also a team builder, to have individuals work together, trying to find common goals to move whatever the issue may be forward. So I think that's one of my strongest assets I have for the table. But no, obviously then with experience also helps fine tune some of those skills. And hopefully, I mean, we're going to have a couple new chiefs regardless. And as long as people come in with open minds and willing to work together to try and find best solutions forward, I'm willing to assist and lend advice if they want advice, and to anybody who wants to. And again, it's a team approach. But I certainly do believe I have my assets to bring to the table and to the community.
Some of the bigger issues that people, and I'm sure that you've heard this time and again, being on the Mohawk Council as many years in terms of you have been. How do you remain accountable to the people? And what do you think about the confidentiality agreement?
Okay, well, two very big issues.
Yes.
Accountability, that has been a struggle with the council from long as I can remember. How are we accountable to the community? The easy answer is, well, there's an election every 3 years. If you don't like what an individual is doing, don't vote for them. If you like what they're doing, no, vote for them. I mean, that's the easiest answer. But certainly there has to be regular reporting. One, first and foremost, to a council table, because it's within our general way of doing things that, sure, you're elected as an individual and you're a chief and you're in the community of the MCK, but you're also accountable back to the other chiefs. And that has to be clarified as well, saying, well, as myself as an individual, how do I report back to the council table to ensure that I'm getting proper direction or proper feedback and so on. That has to be worked out. But I believe we have to have some mechanisms put into place where there's more direct interaction with the community, whether it be on TV or through internet or using modern technology. But clearly, answering specific questions like, well, what have you done in the past 3 months, or what have you done here, or what are pump projects you're working on, so people can have specific answers so people can judge whether or not you're doing a good job, rather than every 3 years during an election say, well, I'm judging whether he or she did a good job. Let's have something more consistent throughout the term, 2-3 times a term or more. So certainly I'm open to something like that, and I prefer using modern technology. It gets out to more people quickly.
Do you feel you've been accountable in a...
I feel, I've been as accountable as I believe I can at this point. I've been on the radio many times. I've been Chiefs on Cut. I've been on there, I think, one of them, the more than most other elected representatives have been on. I've been, every interview that come my way, I'll jump on the opportunity to do the interview, to explain a position, or my position, or a council position, or to take a position. So I do believe I've been out there a lot, trying to be as accountable as I can, and being in the forefront so people can see at least where I'm coming from and what I think.
Right.
So short answer is I think yes, but certainly everything is good for improvement. As far as confidentiality is concerned, that's always been a major issue, major concern. And I think a lot of times it gets blown out of proportion. I think people view confidentiality as secrecy, and I believe there has to be confidentiality. One, because we deal with a lot of personal issues. Individuals come to see us regarding their personal finances, land disputes, personal custody battles with their children, and this goes on and on that level. And it's not for me or anybody to divulge that information to somebody. We find out people's finances from time to time, or what they own and so on. Right. So it's none of nobody's business other than the people directly dealing with it. Right. And so you have to have that confidentiality. And there's confidential documents that, it has to be, sometimes if you want to present information to the community, you want to be able to present it in an organized fashion where people can understand what you're bringing forward. And sometimes you have many draft documents that go through 10, 20 changes before they actually reach the community. And you don't want to go something prematurely where it's a very first rough draft where it has a lot of holes in it, a lot of things that could be miscued or whatever. It's an idea, exactly. It's a concept, an idea. Well, let's keep that confidential until it's ready to go to the community. It's not that you're hiding it, it's just that you want to make sure you're prepared properly to bring it forward. And so it's a matter of trying to ensure that people understand it without getting all the politics and the debates happening prematurely. Now, to date, I never had something that would stop me from discussing a political issue with any community member. because of confidentiality, because 95% of the stuff that's out there is not confidential. It's open to the community. This is, sometimes you don't want to say it publicly on TV, especially external TV,
Right.
or Eastern Door or other places, because that goes outside the community. And it's our business, Ganawaga's business. It's not, Shedagi, Delson, or Quebec or Canada's business. So we have to maintain certain confidentiality in that aspect. But we're open to discussing, many of these issues.
Okay. Well, 15 minutes sure does fly.
Oh, sure does.
We didn't get to all of our questions, but really quickly, I guess, is there anything that you feel is important to add and that you'd like to say?
Well, again, I just ask the community for your support once again. I've been involved in the community for all my life in various aspects. I've been on council for what's going to be ending in 13 years now. Some people may think it's a long time, but I think it's you're at a good stage in my career, my life as a 42-year-old person to contribute, and I hope you'll support me in these coming elections. And with that, thank you very much.
Okay, and thank you for coming on, and good luck on Election Day.
Thank you.
Okay. And don't go away, we'll be right back after this quick message. We have another candidate coming up, Vern Goodleaf, who is new, but is full of surprises. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.